there, I'm Ling from Hatch. We are an impact-driven organization that wants to bring growth careers for everyone. What you're looking at is our online webinar UX 101, which was held on 22nd May as part of our Digital Pathways for All series. We have our guest speaker, Amos from a product launch at Grab Financial. He loves building things to solve problems around him and has built and launched personal finance tools at 𝚂𝚊𝚢 and merchant products at Grab Financial previously. In this workshop, you'll learn what user experience, UX for short, is all about and learn how to build something using good UX practices. We hope you enjoy the webinar and feel free to leave your comments below if you have any questions.
UX is user experience design. So it's basically the interactions between any users. It could be me and you and everybody else who's using, and how the user interacts with a product, or it could be even a service. So it's not limited to just a website. It could be even like a real product, like maybe like my cup right here. You guys can't see, but anything. It could be like your coffee machine, or it could be an experience, whatever you can think of. And this is all about user experience. And the really fun part about UX, right, is that it's very human-centric. They encompasses the entire user journey from all the way from the start all the way to the end. So even before the product is even being produced, or that service is even formed yet, the UX designer will be in there to come up with the whole process. So it includes many things from research, understanding the users, to even like psychology of like what the user is like, to the business elements, to design, and many, 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 many more. So I'll just share very briefly about what UX is all about. I don't want to go too deep into it, and Amos can share more as well. So I hope this kind of gives you an understanding or an overview of what UX is all about. Okay, so without further ado, I'll just pass the time on to Amos, who was formerly from Grab Financial, a product launch. So he'll be sharing a little bit about some of his experience in the design and digital industry, and also be sharing some of his, sharing a bit more into design thinking. And of course, we'll end off with a very, very fun session, and definitely you have time to ask him any questions. Okay, so now, Amos, this is your show. Thank you.
Nice. Hey, thanks for the intro. Let me share my screen. Give me a moment.
Okay, let me. I need to unshare. Sorry.
Yeah. Hey. Okay, give me a moment.
Does it work?
Wait, I think there's something with my Zoom. Let me try again.
You want me to try do it? I can share on my side if it's easier. Sorry,
Oh,
technical errors, guys. It happens. Sorry.
Now maybe you can share your side.
Okay, give me a second.
Oh no, hey, it works now. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay, can everybody see my screen?
Yes, okay. I can. If you want answers, I shall answer.
Okay, yeah. So thank you so much, everybody, for spending Friday night with us. I guess with COVID, it doesn't really make a difference. But yeah, so today we'll be talking a little bit more about user experience. Just a very casual sharing about what it is and how you guys can get started. So, a little bit about myself is that I like to build products, and I previously built things at 𝚂𝚊𝚢, which is a personal finance company, as well as Grab Financial Group. So all the things that you see, GrabPay, I've launched some of these products. And on the side, I tinker and build stuff as well. So one of the things that I actually worked on, I don't know whether there are any users here, but it was actually this chatbot called TaxiBot. So it was a side project that I built with some friends in 2017, and we were quite lucky to have around like 70,000 users at the peak of the product. So that actually taught me quite a lot about user experience and how to build products that people like. And I think recently, what I've been experimenting with is really the other product you see on the right, which is a privacy-focused personal finance manager. So those are some things I built on the side. And right now, I'm working on a startup. So that's just a little bit about myself. I don't do UX training as a living. Hopefully, I can bring in some of the things I see for my day-to-day in this session today. Yeah, so there are 3 sections to the talk today. I think the first one is really an introduction into user experience and UX design, followed by how do we actually go about this UX design. So there's this tool set called design thinking that I'd like to introduce. And then finally, we have a little activity to kind of make the session more fun and hopefully learn one thing or two from it. Yeah. So what is user experience? User experience is actually a very, very vague term that is referring to all the aspects of a user's interactions with organizations, its services, and its products. So it actually spans very broadly across every interaction that a company has. So if you look at the government, actually there are many different areas of aspects that a user, which is a citizen, actually interacts with the government. So the issue is that for user experience, this term is typically used more for tech companies where there's like a software product, there's an app, there's a website, and you can clearly define the interactions with the company, which is through the website or the app. Like Facebook would be the Facebook app or the Facebook website. Like if government, it'd probably be like, I don't know, like the safe entry app for COVID purposes. Yeah, so user experience actually goes more than just software products. It can be used to look at hardware. It can be used to look at like things like how do you design a better knife? How do you design a better knife for visually impaired people to be able to cut without cutting themselves? So actually user experience is something that is very broad. So there are actually 3 criteria that we can use to define what is a good user experience. And only after you can define what is a good user experience, then you can look at, okay, here's where I want to go. Here is how I'm going to get there. So the 3 criteria are usefulness, usability, and desirability. So basically, usefulness refers to whether the thing that you are designing, the thing that you are building, does it actually solve a problem? So if it doesn't solve a problem, then it's not useful. So it probably shouldn't exist. Yeah. And if it's useful, is it usable? So does this process efficiently help to solve your users' needs? And finally, whether it's desirable. When your users are using it, how do they feel? Is it a positive experience? Yeah. So user experience is UX design is about trying to go from a lot of assumptions which you have in your head about the user, what the product is, what the problem is, what the solution should be, and then trying to find tools to help you get to a product that is useful, usable, and then desirable. So that process today we will go through more of it. Okay. So what is user experience design, right? Basically, for us to hit the 3 criteria that I mentioned, there's one route where you can go where you assume everything, you try to build a product, and then you get it out, right? Just based on your gut and your intuition. But most of the time, this approach don't really work that well because we don't know what we don't know, and the world is very diverse. Everyone's facing a lot of different problems, have different constraints, preferences, such that we cannot assume. So it's very important for us to do these 5 steps that we see on the screen. So the first one is we need to do a lot of user research. So user research help us to understand our users, and this can be done through like surveys, can be done through interviews, it can be done through observing data if you have data. It can be done through like just talking to users. So talking to users, you typically do like user interviews, ask them ton of questions, and then from there, once you kind of understand who your user is, what they're facing, then you actually look at ideating. Then you look at creating a hypothesis. Maybe this is what my user wants. Once you have this hypothesis, then you can look at, so now you know the problem, then you know how do you want to try and solve this problem. That's where you start to create prototypes and you test with the user. So a lot of the focus is actually on two things. The first thing is on user research, and the second thing is on testing with the users. And then this will ideally get you to something that's useful, usable, and desirable. Yeah. So what user experience is not, I have listed 4 things here that most people think of when it comes to user experience. The first one, just when there's the word design, people think that, oh, design is always about making things look good, designing graphics, designing marketing collaterals. But actually, it's very different, because graphic design is, firstly, graphic design, it's just a very general term for you to design things like more marketing related, right? More promotional related rather than product related. So user experience is typically more for product related things. So like how does the user get to know your product? How does the user start to get onboarded onto your product? How does the user start to use it? What are some pain points that they have? So it's not graphic design. It's not designing marketing collaterals. It's not designing things to make it beautiful. Like UX, like if you look at the 3 qualities here, there isn't like, oh, aesthetics. It isn't a part of the criteria. So it's not about making something that is beautiful. It's about making something that works for your user. And then it is not web development, because web development is building the website. You typically build the website after you know what the user wants. So UX research and UX design is really the part that comes before web development. And then, yeah, given that I have listed the things that you need to do, the 5 things on the left side, is definitely not going with intuition. And going with intuition will typically not lead you the right way, because yeah, there's just a lot of assumptions in this universe. So yeah, so this is just a short rehash. In case you guys still cannot get these 3 words, it's usefulness, usability, and desirability. So this tells you where you want to go. Later on, I will share more about how do you get here. Okay. So this is, in a nutshell, what is good UX. I think next I will come up with a few examples for you to better understand what is the difference between a good UX and a bad UX. So here we have a ketchup bottle, right? I believe everybody has used a ketchup bottle before, and we know that it gets annoying as a user myself when I store it in the fridge. It gets like so cold and frozen up that it's very hard for us to get the ketchup out. Or when the ketchup is finishing, and then it is just left all these small little bits at the bottom, right? It's very hard for you to squeeze the ketchup out. So typically we engage in a very dangerous activity, like we start to shake the ketchup, we start to hit the ketchup bottle with the back of our hand, and it's pretty dangerous and not a good experience. You either don't get any ketchup out, or you get too much ketchup, like your egg is like that, and like all the ketchup comes out and it's all over your plate, and it's just not the amount you want to use. So this actually creates a very poor experience, because yeah, it's useful. I mean, it's not really useful actually, because you can't really get ketchup out of the bottle. It's not very usable, and the experience of being so frustrated before you can eat your I don't know, omelette is just not desirable, right? I just want to be able to squeeze a right amount and just eat it. So Heinz actually did a redesign. They actually looked at this ketchup bottle and did an entire redesign. So they looked at how do they make this useful, usable, and desirable. And this is the actual prototype. I believe you guys have seen it, that they come up with. So they came up with this other bottle design that I believe you have seen in the supermarket. So instead of just using the laws of physics to get the bottles out, they actually have this squeezy design that allows user to squeeze the right amount that you want out. So instead of whacking the bottle and like doing all kind of funky stuff with it, you just need to squeeze, and then the right amount will come out. So this shows you the difference, in the approach, because if you look at the sticker, it actually looks the same. It's the same Heinz branding. It's the same Heinz wording. So UX is really not about what the design is. It's not about how beautiful it looks. It's not about how much words you want to put on it. But it's really looking at, okay, this is what the user wants to do. how does it look like now? Does it work? Does it not work? And then they try to come up with ways to make the experience more useful, more usable, and more desirable. So now if I want to like eat my omelette, right, I can just easily take it, and I'm sure that the right amount will come out. It's a very desirable experience because I don't have to fret. It's very useful and it's very usable. So this is one example. The second example I can show you is actually an example of a bad user experience. And I think this shows us very important lessons about what is the cost of a bad user experience. So I believe you guys have seen all these like walking strips before in Singapore. So the usefulness of the walking strip is actually to help the visually impaired find their way safely, to get them to wherever they want to go. And it's usable if you can feel the bumps, right? If you can't really feel it, then it's not very usable. And of course, the desirable part of it is to actually get them to safety. But you can look at this example here, which is in Turkey, where the town designer didn't really consider this aspect, the user experience aspect, when laying these walking strips. So instead of guiding the users to safety and having like long strips that lead them to clear places where they want to go, they have strips that lead them into a construction site. They have strips that lead them to a bus stop, and have all this kind of staggered, walking path that if the blind person missed the stagger, they probably just hit into the pole. And I think the last one is the best. Like there's a parking lot there, so you literally lead the visually impaired people into like traffic. So if we look at this case study, right, is it useful? No, because these people using these strips will get into accidents. They will knock into the wall. Is it usable? No, I think it's clearly not usable because they won't be able to go to where they want to go, and it's not desirable to get into an accident when you just want to go to where you want to go, right? So this is a real cost of bad user experience. In very extreme cases, it can really cost lives. I think there's one case study where that in a nuclear reactor, the designers of that control panel didn't really design they didn't really understand the user experience of a nuclear operator, and they didn't do the buttons right, and that actually caused a very near shave to a nuclear explosion. So these examples show you that actually user experience is something that you often overlook, but actually can be pretty significant. Yeah. So I think just a few funny examples for you to visualize. Maybe you can understand this better. Is let's look at the volume rocker. Right? You really what's the purpose of this? You just want to adjust the volume to get to whatever volume you desire. So a bunch of people over the internet gathered a few really hilarious examples of how some people took it a little bit too far by ignoring the principles of something that's usable and useful and as well desirable. So here you have it. These are 5 examples. So the first one is one where you play like a balancing game. The second one, you need to roll a dice to actually get the volume that you want to get. The third one, you have to play a game of Pong. So it could be desirable for some people, but I don't think so if you're trying to watch a video. This one is super precise, but you probably need to, your eyes will bleed before you can find the right volume. And the last one, you have to shout into a microphone so that they measure the volume that you want your video to be at. So these are examples where if you are designing a game, maybe it's a desirable experience, but for sure this is a volume rocker where you want it to be for the user to quickly and accurately get the volume right. So you don't need all these bells and whistles. It's not about creating a super crazy experience when you're looking at designing a volume slider. So just a few more to top it off. This is basically a keypad which everybody is very aware of, but these people are very creative. They came up with a sophisticated form, we have to say it, that requires the users to tick on the checkbox to create the numbers. And this one simulates, tearing off the paper. So these are all examples where, there's a lot of effort put into it. Aesthetically, it looks okay. It looks not bad. As a user, you probably have fun dragging it out, but it doesn't really help you achieve what you want to do. It's not that useful and it's not that usable as well. By the time you probably tear the numbers off, you don't need to call the person anymore. So these are experiences, these are some examples of bad user experience. Just a few more heavy ones, like the nuclear reactor and like leading the visually impaired into the wall, and some funny ones like all this. So going back to whatever we were talking about, user experience involves a lot of talking to users, testing with them, understanding the user, and then so that helps you to know what the user wants. Only after that, then you start doing things like designing something that is what the user wants and is beautiful. Only after you do the designing, then you look at building the website or whatever that you need to build. So yeah, always remember that user experience is about understanding the user and going through a series of 2 steps to get there. And what you want to achieve at the end of this process is to create something that is useful, usable, and desirable. Okay. So yeah, we've talked about that. And now let me introduce you one tool set that a lot of people use to get from a lot of assumptions about the users, not really sure what to do, to understanding what the user wants, and being able to identify a direction that you or your team wants to work on. So the core of this process is to understand your user. And this process is actually called design thinking. I think many of you have heard about it before. I probably run through the steps and give a little bit more context and examples in each stage. So there are 5 stages to the process. The first one is empathize, followed by define, ideate, prototype, and test. So yeah, so when we look at the first step of empathize, it's really to understand the user. And understanding the user can come in many forms. It depends, depending on what company you are working at, or like what are the tools available to you, what problem you're solving. But it's really about observing the user, researching the user. So observing and researching could involve looking at existing data that you already have. Like let's say you're working for a tech company, so you can look at the data that your tech company has. Or let's say you're volunteering at some place, you can look at how the users are actually trying to perform a certain task. And then from there, you actually want to talk to the user and try to understand them as a person, right? So when you approach these people and when you talk to your users, right, or even when looking at your data, you should try as much as possible to keep it open, keep your biases aside, because you really don't know what you don't know. And the things that you don't know are really the most valuable pieces of information that you overlook. So for example, when you go talk to a user and you have a certain hypothesis, right? Like you don't go ask the user like, oh, let me think, give you an example. So like for example, if you are designing I don't know, like a website, and then your favorite color is yellow, you don't frame your questions to the user like, hey, yellow is the best color, right? Or yellow makes you feel good, right? Because all this kind of phrasing, this is a very like superficial example, but when you load your questions with your biases and things that you assume, then it defeats the whole purpose of this, because you are just making the user say what you are thinking. So might as well, if you want to do that, you just keep this step and execute what you are thinking. So when you actually talk to the user, it's always good to keep it open and don't ask leading questions. Always, if you think that a point is valid, keep it very open. And then, like for example, instead of framing yellow as the topic of the question, I can ask them like, oh, which color makes you feel the best? Which color gives you the most confidence? These are the kind of questions that will let the users prove it to you, and then you discover things you don't know. And also, I think when you ask questions, try not to answer yes or no questions, because these questions really shut down the conversation. You should ask more questions like who, why, what, when, and how. These are your typical primary school kind of questions, right? Nothing too complex. but always use this as a way to dig out more information. So when you ask questions, you typically have a list, but keep it open. So if like you ask the user, why do you do this? Then when they tell you that, I do this because it's very annoying for me to, let me think of an example. So let's say you are designing a coffee cup for a user, right? And the user says that like, I don't like my cup that has that looks like this, or I don't like the material of the cup. Then you start to ask them like, why do you not like this material? Then maybe they were like, actually this material is quite thin, so it doesn't really protect the heat when I'm actually drinking my hot coffee. Then you start to ask them like, so how often do you drink coffee? Like you want to understand the different aspects of the problem. Then you basically, they will tell you something, you broaden it up. They'll tell you something, you broaden it up, and then you just want to understand as much as possible, right? What the user's current experience is like. So when you have all this information, right, it's a lot. What you want to do next is to define and narrow it down. So yeah, your findings will be very messy because I am very different from Li. It's very different from somebody else on the streets and somebody else in maybe like working at Facebook in Silicon Valley. So you will need to look at your all the people that you actually interviewed or you're observing. Look for similarities and as well as contradictions. So similarities will show you that this certain statement is corroborated. Means a lot of people agree with it and it's a valid thing. You should also look for contradictions because it will show you a lot of valuable insights. For example, why does certain group A say this? Why does certain group B say that? Why does a certain group of people like this material or a certain group of people doesn't? It could be because the people that like this material drink cold coffee. They drink cold brew instead of like a hot brew coffee. So that will help you to understand like, okay, so this contradiction actually show me that material is important for like a certain specific type, and these are the users that really treasure this. So the focus at this point is really to take out everything you have, look for similarities and contradictions, and don't jump straight to solutioning, because a lot of times when you jump straight to solutioning, you miss the nuances in the problem statement, or you never define your problem statement carefully. You come up with a very vague problem statement like, I want to make a better coffee cup. How? Why? For who? You don't know. And you have the information in your empathize phase. Now you got to put that information into the problem statement. You need to be objective and be very clear about what you are trying to solve. And last but not least, with all this information about the humans that you are building the product for, you need to make it human-centric. So you need to always keep the user in mind. So once you understand what you are looking for, then and the problem that you're trying to solve, then it's the time to look at solution. I don't know if you're working in a team or not, but if you are, it's always good to bring the team together and look at this set of problems. So like, let's say you identify 3 problems that you want to work on, then it's time for you to bring your team together and start forming hypotheses. So get everybody to just be creative, think out of the box, and try to have their own ways to solve the solution. So try not to rule out any stupid ideas right now. Just list everything together on a board or some sort of like Excel sheet if you're working remotely. And then once you have all the different ideas, you can actually do a lot of interesting things. For example, you realize that sometimes 2 ideas, you can join them together to create an even better idea. So that is why you need to keep things diverse and not rule out things at this stage. So once you have all the ideas, then you start to shortlist the solutions, right? There will be probably like 10 different like solutions by like 5 or 10 different people. Now you need to look at, okay, if we were to place a bet and want to build something that the user will most likely find to be useful, usable, and desirable, what is it? Shortlist the solution and do not go full steam ahead to build it yet. Build something that is very easy to build, that is what we call low fidelity, or something that's just very scrappy. that the user can imagine or try what it's like to be using this solution. Don't build the full thing yet. When you have that scrappy prototype, even like a pen and paper drawing of like a screen on a notebook can work in some cases. When you have that, then you go and talk to the user in the next step. You actually test. So you go and test the users. You don't sit inside your office or your house and you think like, okay, this must be. Talk to your users, repeat the same process or the same mindset that you have in your empathize phase. Give it to them, ask them questions, observe them. What do they feel about certain things? Keep your questions open. Don't be like, hey, this solution is very good, right? This solution is better. This cup is better than this cup, right? Yeah. Try to understand and observe how they are feeling. Yeah. So only when you have done that with this prototype, then it's the right time to think about, okay, we have talked to our users. We understand what they want. We shortlist and define a problem statement. As a team, we come together, come up with ideas. We create something that we can actually test. Now that we tested it, should we pursue or drop this track? This is a time where you can actually be a lot more confident about the problem, the user, the solution, and make a decision, rather than if you were to just go in blind and assume all three things at one time. So that is design thinking in a nutshell. And the beauty of this is actually, if you look at the shapes here, right, it actually identifies how your brain actually, or how your team actually works. So at the start, you are quite narrow-minded onto your idea, right? So you talk to users and then you expand to a broad variety of problems, and you have a lot of information about who your user is, what their daily life is like, and then you come together as a team to define a problem statement. So you narrow it down again. You narrow it down. This is the problem that we want to look at, right? Then you get your team in the ideation phase to come up with all kinds of solutions. So you entertain all the ideas in the universe that your team come up with. Then based on your understanding of the user, so when you're here with all this variety, you narrow it down again to the actual one bet or two bets that you want to work on, and then you test. So this will, like I said, get rid of a lot of assumptions and gaps that we might have in our thinking. So why it works? Before that, I think a very a word of warning is that it's typically not so linear. It's typically like you talk to your user, then you realize that, oh, maybe this problem is not something that the user face. Then you look at your entire problem, then okay, maybe I pick problem B. Maybe the cup material is not a problem, it's actually the shape. Then you look at, okay, now I pick problem B, you go to define, right? Then after that, you think about all the solutions, then you come out with a prototype, you test with the user. Then maybe the user say that, hey, I think this is not what I want. Then you go back to problem, like you go back to your ideation stage to think about, okay, so we know the problem exists, but the solution sucks. So what's the other solution that we can look at? So you can see it's not a linear process, and it will help you to get where you want to get. Yeah. So it does that because it focuses on what humans actually want, not what you think they want. And it also tells you what you don't know, which is actually the most valuable part about this user research. And the third one is that it actually broadens the diversity of ideas, because you have so much more that you can draw on based on your understanding of the user, your understanding of the problem, understanding of the solution, and how the solution will fit the problem that is faced by the user, right? And I think the last one that is important in the team is that this is a very systematic way to prove or disprove hypotheses. Of course, how systematic it is depends on how you as a team execute it, but at least you have a framework to go through the process and show your teammates or even yourself, right, why certain things make sense or don't make sense. I think the challenge in a lot of teams is that sometimes it's a popularity contest, right? Or like the highest paid guy gets the most say. So this design thinking method, as long as everyone has the buy-in and executes it correctly, will help you to improve the systematicness of the way you make decisions. Okay, so yeah, so basically that's design thinking, and I have some examples here for you to better understand and maybe contextualize this concept for you. Okay, so IDEO is actually a design agency that is in Silicon Valley. They work on a lot of wide variety of things. So they are a company that is one of the top few names that people think of when it comes to design thinking. They work with companies like Apple, as you see here, to like your pharmaceutical companies, to your, I think Mattel that design kids toys, to like even governments to look at how they bring in design thinking to solve these problems, come up with better ways to solve problems for these different verticals. So an interesting thing that they do also is that their team is actually very diverse. So they have everyone from like I don't know, like a scientist to a nuclear researcher to like a designer to a musician and all that, just to have the variety of ideas. And I think this really echoes the point where you really don't know what you don't know. It's always good to have a team and have views that are very broad and diverse. Then you narrow it down, and then you find ways that different people can work together. Okay, so enough about IDEO. Let's look at some case studies. The first one here is actually it's not EpiPen, it's something else. But this is actually a medical device where they have a few constraints, a few problems you're trying to solve. So the problem with the medical device is that one of them, it actually has a lot of problems with the original design had a lot of problems where it's basically a device where you jab it into your arm or like your body, and then it will inject a certain kind of, I think, anti-allergic solution to help people who are suffering from very strong allergies. But the problem is that the old design, a lot of times people actually, the original designers design it one way, but when the users actually use it, right, the experience was so bad because the users don't know how to use the device. There's typically a needle at one end, and the way the users are holding the old design was that they hold the old design like this with the needle on this side. So when they don't realize it and they want to jab the solution into their body, they end up jabbing their thumb. So it gets injected into their thumb, doesn't get the solution into the bloodstream, and it's just a pain and like probably like a first aid disaster. That's one. And the second one is also like I think the company wanted to make the delivery of the solution more streamlined into the bloodstream. So what IDEO did was really to look at how users injected this solution, and it was only through observing like many users that they realized that, hey, this is a real problem. People are jabbing their thumb instead of jabbing their body. So they created this system that was a lot more intuitive. So you have like, I think you can see here like a very clear direction on how to jab, a plastic casing that prevents breakage of needles, and you can't really, and I think there was a protective layer here that prevents you from jabbing your thumb. So altogether, through the whole user discovery process, they talk to the user, they observe the users using it, they managed to come up with this better solution. Another example is that it's actually Apple mouse, or in fact, even a Microsoft mouse, which I think were one of the first mouses in the world. So there used to be, I think today we are very used to using like iPads and using like your touchpad and all that. But there was a point in time where there wasn't a graphical user interface in this world. It was like super high tech. So the challenge was, how do you create something that is intuitive for users that have never seen a screen before, or at least never moved things around the screen before, to use this new interface. So Apple actually engaged IDEO to come up with this mechanical mouse. So I don't know how many of you still remember that last time the mouses used to have balls in it. But basically this mechanical design was created by, not like kind of designed by IDEO after they had talked to like many users. So what they did was to create a mouse design, and at that point in time, right, it was very expensive to make a mouse. So IDEO had to come up with something from scratch to come up something that works and is cheap and is accurate. So if you can see here, this was actually in their showroom when I went there a few years ago. They actually created all kinds of foam blocks for users. They put it inside a room. They ask the user to try. So they just observe the user and see how the user actually use this product, this foam block that is just sitting there in front of them. And then through these many different iterations, right, then they came up with this final product where it helps less. So even though now it seems very insignificant, but at that point in time it was a breakthrough innovation. People didn't really know how to design this thing for people to use. So it was after so many different iterations, like they tried this, doesn't work, they scrap it, they go to the workshop, they shave it off, and then they make a new one, that they realized that this was one that was useful for the user because it helps you rest your hand properly instead of you like holding your mouse like that. Yeah, and also when they tested the mechanism of the ball, this is a bit like technical. They realized that this ball design was actually the most accurate and the most comfortable for users to navigate the screen. So both experiences show you that this is actually something that is done at scale. It's not some like novel concept that people think about. It's actually something that big organizations, big governments, big corporates actually engage experts to come in and execute this. So it is definitely something that is valuable and can be applied to many areas beyond just your software product. It can be applied to your ketchup bottles, your walking strips, and all these different aspects in life. So this is just a few examples on design thinking and how it is done by IDEO. So I think now we are at the time for our activity. So I'd like everyone to just grab a pen and paper. I understand that not all of you guys are sharing screens, so later on I might need you guys to show your screen. Yeah. So basically, grab a pen and paper, and then when everyone has a pen and paper, then we can start. Let me look at the chat. Oh. Can we start? Does everyone have a pen and paper?
Maybe you guys want to show your video. This is like a drawing exercise.
Yeah. Nice. I see someone's screen. Okay, you guys don't show your screen yet, but I think later on when we have the sharing, it will be very helpful because I will need to be able to see your drawing, and you need to share and show us like, what is it that you guys have drawn. Okay. Here we have a few folks. More coming. Okay, I think we can start first. The more shy people can share gradually as we go. So the first activity is I want you guys to draw something that lets you know when somebody is at your door. So just keep it very simple. It doesn't have to be like wow, very complex. But yeah, I think we have 3 minutes to do it. Let me start the time. Okay. Okay, yeah. So you guys have 3 minutes to draw something that lets you know when someone is at the door. Okay, so we are just over the 1 minute 30 seconds mark. Is everyone done? Or I'm just scared that I allocated too much time. Okay, no response. So I think you can wait till 3 minutes. Oh, okay. Not done. Okay, let's have 30 more seconds. And for those that are drawing, you might want to turn on your screen because I'll be getting some of you guys to share, and we can't see your drawing, and we won't be able to understand what you have drawn. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So I think now that you guys have your drawing, let's do a little bit of sharing. Yeah. Yeah. Sure. If you can. So from Yuanling, if you can send a picture, that works as well. I think the next one is I would like to find out more from you guys about your drawing. So I think we will first get the people on video to share first. I'm just looking down the list. Can we have Emmanuel to like just put up your drawing and let us see it, and maybe you can explain a little bit more about what you have drawn. Yeah.
So basically, I just drew a door knocker.
Door knocker.
Yeah.
Wow. So how will you use a door knocker?
So if the person is basically standing outside my door, he or she just basically just swing it, and then it causes a sound on the door.
I see. Okay, got it. Do you have a door knocker at home?
Actually, I don't.
Oh, interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, interesting. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Let's get somebody else. I see there was someone that just turned on the screen. Liana. Maybe get Liana to share.
Yeah, we
Oh,
can't hear you, I think.
yeah, we can't hear you.
Yeah. No. It's not connected.
Yeah.
Maybe you can try typing it out. Will
Yeah,
that
yeah.
work?
Or maybe unplug the earpiece. It could be the earpiece that has an issue.
Hello.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
now it's good.
So I basically drew a bell, and the second one.
Sorry, I think you need to talk closer to your screen.
Sure. I drew a bell, and the second one I drew was the keyhole that's placed indoors that you look through to peer out and see whether there's somebody there. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, those are the two things.
So one is a doorbell and one is the hole where you can see that somebody's outside.
Yeah, the keyhole.
I see. Okay. Got it. So I think we have a few activities, and then from there we have more sharings lah. So let's move on to the next one, and I think it will be interesting to see with each activity how different the experience is like. So the next one is I want you guys to draw a doorbell. So I think I'll just give you guys 2 minutes since Liana had time to draw two, so probably 2 minutes is enough. Okay, yeah, let's go. 2 minutes. Okay, is everyone done? Okay, I see a thumbs up. Okay, your 2 minutes is up. Okay, so now I'll pick on a different group of people to share. Let's have.
Maybe anyone want to volunteer? So you can share your
Yep.
idea.
Please volunteer.
Ben.
I can.
Okay,
Doorbell,
Rachel.
right?
Yes.
Doorbell, right?
Yes.
Like that, lor. Oh no.
I think you need to switch off your virtual background.
Ah. Okay, but my drawing not very good leh.
It's fine.
It's just like this.
Wow, okay. Yeah. The doorbell. Is this the doorbell that you have outside
At my
your house? Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, no wonder. I see. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So another one. Let's look at
I'd
maybe.
like to share.
Oh yeah, please.
Okay. Not sure if you can see my video. Can you all see me?
No, Bannon
Ryan.
Ryan.
Can.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. Can you see me?
Oh, right.
Yes.
Yes. We can now.
Okay. So I drew this.
Wow.
Yeah. So I drew it from two
Wow.
perspectives: the
Wow.
visitor's perspective and the host perspective.
Oh, I see. And the yellow streaks, I assume, are the sound lah.
The sound, yeah. And for the host, there's a light lah. So at least to indicate that there's someone at the door. So there are two functions.
Why is that important to you?
I suppose, let's say if maybe you're on your earphones and then you can't hear the doorbell clearly. So at least if there's a visual indicator, then it can help also.
I see. Are you always on
that's a great idea.
Sorry?
Are you always on your earphones?
Quite often. That's why I thought about this.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. So I think we have the third one, and then after that we can have like a sharing where everybody can come on board, and we can see what we learn lah. I mean, there are some things that I'll give you some prompts so you guys will see why we are doing these seemingly random things. So the next one is design a doorbell for someone who is hearing impaired. So I think that just now Ryan brought up a good point lah. There's the host and the person outside, right? So now you imagine the user as someone who is staying at the house, and the person is hearing impaired lah. Yeah. So I think let's do another 2 minutes. Actually, 2 minutes seems a bit long. Maybe like 1 minute just to introduce a little bit of challenge. Yeah, let's do 1 minute. Let's go. Okay, time's up. Who would like to share next?
Can I share mine?
Please do.
Okay, I'm using on phone, so I'll try and do the video.
Okay. Yep, we can see you.
Okay, so this is like what I drawn. So the top part is the light, and top part is to press, then the bottom part is the light.
Top part press.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So the pressing part is for the person outside lah.
Yeah. And then the light is also for the person. There's a light inside also for the person to see.
I see. Okay. Anybody else? Okay, maybe I can get Yuan Lin to send her picture since she volunteered just now. Yuanlin, you want to send your drawing in? No worries. She says, give me a moment.
Maybe Amos, you want to share yours also? That'll be fun.
I didn't do because I was drinking water.
Now you can
Very-
think for.
Sorry. My throat a bit dry. Yeah, so I think while we wait for Yuanling, I think it's pretty interesting. We have seen many different types of things that let you know if someone is at the door. There is the traditional door knocker, which I find quite interesting to see it these days. There is the square. There's a square button that I forgot her name. Rachel, I think, that has shared just now. And Liana has like two different ones. One is the hole, and then another one is the bottle is here, and another one is the round button. Yeah, and we also have one with lights. We have actually two with lights. And okay, let's see. Oh, okay. I can actually share my screen so that you guys can see whatever she has drawn. Okay, can you guys see the screen? Okay, so let me read the response out. So one is a phone alert with vibration. Wow, okay. And then the second one is a computer alert notification and a flashing light. Wow, okay. Well, there's a lot of high tech. No, it's not messy. It actually brings across the message quite well. Phone alert, sound alert, and then the button. Okay, got it. Let me go back to my screen. Where is it? Okay, so yeah, I think I just want to get you guys to talk a little bit more about with each stage. So we have heard different things from different people at different activities, but I just want you guys to show the first drawing. This is what you guys draw. The second and the third, and how different were they? And as well as when you were drawing these drawings, like how different do you feel? What was the difference in the experience? Yeah, whoever want to go can just start sharing. Okay, let's see. Yeah, so for this sharing, you probably need to share your screen as well. I share your video because you need to show us your drawing. Yeah, so maybe if while other people are getting warmed up to turn on the screen, maybe Emmanuel, you can get the ball rolling again for like your different variations of your drawing. I think you're on mute, so we can't hear you.
So am I supposed to share all my drawings or?
Yeah, like 1, 2, and 3. So what's the different variations?
First one was the door knocker.
Okay.
Okay.
And you draw a door knocker because
It just reminded me of someone knocking the door, but I would rather have that sound amplified.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's about it. Second is this particular doorbell that I think the first thing that came to mind was a bell that I usually have on my bicycle.
Oh, okay. Got it. Do you cycle a lot?
I used to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How long have you
And
been cycling?
How long have I been cycling? A few years, man.
Wow, okay, I see.
Yeah. And I think one of the reasons why I drew it is because there have been instances where my doorbell either I ran out of battery and then the delivery person is basically just stranded outside waiting.
I see.
So the mechanical one that does not need electricity or batteries, I think would last longer. Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
And then the third one is basically like a watch.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So for the visually impaired, I was thinking there's probably like a smart watch that they probably already have, and then
Okay.
it's linked with the doorbell outside. So the moment someone were to buzz, they immediately get an alert on their watch.
Okay. You mentioned visually or hearing impaired.
Oh, sorry, hearing impaired.
Okay, okay. So they
Yeah.
get an alert on their watch.
All right.
I see. What would the alert look like, in your opinion?
It could just be a vibration, like how your phone would vibrate.
I see. Okay, okay, got it, got it.
Yeah.
So, so these are the different variations you have, right?
Mm.
How do you feel? Like what was the experience drawing it from the first to the second to the third? Because the prompts were all different, right?
Yep. I think the first, or at least the first thought that came to mind, I think your entire design thinking process that you actually mentioned was the first one is empathize, right? So it's putting myself in the person's shoe.
Mm.
And I think the first one would be trying to see myself from a delivery personnel point of view.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then the last one was hearing impaired. How exactly I would? Sorry, was it hearing impaired? Yeah, hearing impaired. How exactly I would feel?
Yeah.
If I cannot hear the buzzer, then what would be the closest thing? If let's say if there's a particular a light that gets emitted in only one place, then how would I be able to know that someone is at the door even if I'm at the different places in my house or
Yeah.
different rooms in my house? So yeah.
Wow. Okay. Interesting that you thought of the first idea from a delivery person point of view.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Got it. Okay. Let's have one more.
Thanks.
Maybe actually I want to. I don't know whether you want to be comfortable with sharing. Can I get Ryan to share? Because I thought your drawing was pretty nice. I want to see like the different variations.
Maybe it'll be interesting to also share some of you if anyone has the same idea as Emmanuel as well. Or
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, you can
have-
type it in the chat if you guys don't want to talk or share.
Emmanuel, I drew a watch also, but my
Alright.
watch like quite ugly. Yeah.
Let's see it. Hey, sorry. Can I see it? Sorry, the video wasn't pinned.
Sorry. Yeah, so I drew a watch, and I was thinking like the watch can vibrate for the person.
Oh, okay. So vibration, I see.
Yeah.
Why do you not choose like a light?
I was thinking like if it's a light, right, you need to position it everywhere because like you don't know where the person is at the point where someone rang the doorbell. So
Yeah.
like having a watch that the person wears around could be more useful.
Oh, yeah. I see. Okay. Thanks for sharing. Actually, at this point in time, do you want to share the other two drawings since you already shared the third one?
Okay. Actually the first thing, my first drawing was a doorbell already. Because like,
Okay, nice.
I was thinking, like I just thought about what's in my house lah. Yeah. Then I kind of drew the the button is the one below.
Yeah.
The part above is like blue in color because I think that's how a lot of doorbells look like. From my memory lah. Then like kind of tells people that it's a doorbell.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then
Yeah.
so this is my first and second one because my first one I drew a doorbell already.
Oh, okay, got it. So it's doorbell, and then a watch.
Yeah.
I see. And like how different was the experience drawing the first, second, and third?
I think it's like each time round, like I have to think of an additional limitation, like actually the person cannot hear. Yeah, and I think like one interesting thing was by hearing about what the other like participants have shared, then I was like, oh, actually the light thing is like really really like cool and awesome. Like maybe you can apply it to other areas.
I see. Got it. Okay. Thanks for sharing, Peter. Okay, Ryan, sorry to cut you up. I mean, like, interject with that. Maybe now you can
It's
share.
okay. Yeah. I think I took my mind wandered off a bit lah. So I was thinking more of like how to accommodate all the different sensors
Wow.
for subsequent designs. So from what you mentioned about the physically disabled and all that, they will have certain challenges. So I was thinking if we can use that one product to address all the different sensors, then it would really work for whichever disability that the user has.
I see. And this is the third one, right?
I didn't really come up with a new product lah, but just like the thought process of how to improve what I showed just now.
I see. Okay. And like, sorry, I didn't really catch a good glance on it. But which are the sensors that you think are important? I only saw sensors and some. Okay.
Okay. So I was thinking more vibration. So at least if it's remotely, you can detect that someone's at the door. Lights for the hearing, those with hearing disabilities. Smell, I was thinking, okay, smell, we don't usually associate smells with doorbells lah, but I was thinking if we could integrate it with something existing, like maybe an air freshener or something like that. So it's a bit crazy. Like, trying to think of other ways that the person can be informed.
I see. Got it.
Yeah. But like what I think Emmanuel shared about the fact that the knocker could not the sound of the knocker that could be amplified, it would work in the case that technology fails. So yeah, in case the batteries run out or there's some technical error, at least there's still a physical solution to fall back to. Yeah.
I see. Okay. Yeah. Anybody else want to share? Thanks for sharing. Really appreciate it, Ryan. Okay. Anybody on the chat want to share? If I'll just wait for another 10 seconds. If anybody wants to say, just say yes. If not, then I'll move on. Okay, yeah. So, I guess these are some things that I wanted this activity to try to exhibit. So most of the time for design thinking, when it's actual workshop, when everybody is together and there's no COVID, and maybe we can break up into smaller groups, right? What we do is to typically get you to talk to actual users and try to solve a problem or try to make something better for them. Like, I don't know, maybe talking to old people to teach them how to better use technology, or maybe in this case, like talking to like maybe couples to see how to help them connect better during COVID. But then I think given the current constraints, this is the activity that we had. So I think the first thing that was very interesting is to see how, so at the start, right, we started with a very, very general problem statement. And then you start to see a lot of different ideas, right? You have like a traditional doorbell, which most people look at. And then I really did not expect to see a knocker. Like I didn't even think of it. And then you also have like so the knocker is emphasizes on the sound, right? And as well as the ability to function even without technology. And I think we also have another, I think Liana's drawing of the peephole. I think that's very interesting also because it focuses on the visual aspect. So you can see that different people, when they think of something they want to solve, right, it can go into many different dimensions. And you will realize that for different users, right, they have specific things that they want. So something that stood out for me for Emmanuel is that somehow his ideas are all very contingent on the fact that there's battery, or there is it can function without electricity. So I think that is something that is interesting, as you talk to more users, you realize that certain things will stand out based on that certain user type. For example, like Ryan emphasizes a lot on different senses, right? How do you let the users know in a multi-sensory way, like, oh, there's someone at the door. And you will see this being played out throughout different people you talk to, and even through the different rounds of drawing. And the second thing that I wanted to show is that when your problem statements are defined very clearly, right, it's very easy to get to work. So at the start, when I tell you to draw something that, hey, just show me somebody is at the door, it can be anything, right? From a bicycle bell to a knocker to a peephole to a watch to an air freshener. But when you start to narrow down what you want to actually achieve for who, then you realize that it's very clear. It's very clear that, like, okay, this now the last end user is someone that can't hear the bell. So in fact, the word doorbell the phrase doorbell for hearing impaired is actually something funny with the phrase, because the doorbell wouldn't work for a hearing impaired person. But you realize that, hey, now everybody is focusing on senses other than the hearing part. So that is something that you when you talk to more users, so the activity 1, 2, and 3, right, kind of simulates that process of you understanding the user and knowing more and more about the user, and you realize that at the end it's very clear and very easy to define what do you actually want. Yeah. So what else do I have here? Yeah, and I think that when we actually start to look at hearing impaired, the case, then I think you guys started to consider a lot of contextual factors, right? Like, oh, you can't, if it's a light, then you can't always be near the light. You can't always be at some place, and then you cannot hear. So how do you look at other senses? So I think this is something that when you go along the process and you define it better, you will build something that is better for the users lah. And the last one is, if you realize actually you guys are actually like a small team already, because you guys actually build on each other's ideas. And I like it that you guys are quite, that you guys, even though you guys don't really want to share screen and talk, but you guys still manage to collaborate in some sense to build on each other's ideas and develop something that help us get to the end lah. Yeah. And one last thing also is that different people really have different ideas that you don't know. You normally only have your own mind frame. So when someone brought up the light, I think it's very very, very nice lah, because it's like he hit the nail on the head, right? That I was going to talk about this problem, but it's only because you guys collaborated as a team. You guys talk to the user, then you know that, hey, this is what we want to go. That is what we want to go towards. So I guess that's it for the activity. Really something simple for everybody to try out and not just be talking on this Friday night. I think now we have time for questions.
Yes, thank you so much, Amos, for your sharing. I hope you guys learned something more about UX and even design thinking. And also thank you so much for participating and even sharing your drawings and your ideas as well. It's been interesting to hear all your different ideas. And maybe I'll just open the floor for some questions. You could just shout out the question or maybe just type it in the chat box. Maybe before there's any questions, maybe I can just ask you one question. Amos, maybe can you share one of your favorite product design that you think that is is very good, has very good user experience?
Okay, let me think.
Sorry for coming up with random questions now.
You think that I never saw this question coming? Let me see.
I mean, it's really interesting to see how everyone sees what is important to them also, every user. like how everyone looks at different things, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. Actually, let me open my phone. It's probably easier for me to think about it. Suddenly, on top of my head, I can't.
Okay, we have a question from Rachel. She's curious to know if AX.
UX.
Do you mean UX? US. UX, sorry. If UX is an idea applied across all industries at the moment, since
Okay.
everything is an experience.
Yeah, so I think I'll answer your question first. Then I'll answer Rachel's question. So I think one product that I think has a very good UX is actually this app called Revolut.
Mm.
So Revolut is an app
Effects, right?
it's a personal finance app that allows you to basically when you have a Revolut app is one where you sign up, you can deposit money inside, and then you can use they will send you a card, so you can use the card to spend at places. So why this is important, you might ask, there's already all these other cards out there, right? It's because Revolut actually enables you to have analytics on your spending. So when you spend, they automatically track what you spend on, what's the category, what's the amount. So as somebody that is trying to save and trying to be more frugal, I think this really helps. So it's useful because number one, it helps me to spend. Number two, it helps me to save. It's usable because they have all the analytics there. And it's very desirable because the app is very, very nice. So it's very simple and very clean.
Easy to use lah.
Yeah, so like you can see that I cover my mouth. So you can see the best way to do this, but yeah, so you can see.
It's not on the screen.
Yeah, so you can see like they have all the transactions and all.
Okay, you guys can just check out the app and save more money from today onwards. Thanks for sharing, Amos. Okay.
Okay, so next one, the question by Rachel.
Yes.
The idea applied across all industries at the moment. So I think that UX is something that should be applied in all industries. And in fact, even though we are on the topic of UX, right, you will realize that when you Google on the internet, UX, right, has many different names and like different like semblances. So some of them call it like agile, some of them call it like Scrum or whatever, right? But the key is that, and the thing is that these concepts, right, are concepts that you always see in like a lot of corporate training courses, and experts really plaster it all over their slides. So if you were to say that, are these concepts introduced to these industries? Yes, but are they implemented well? Not really. So I think one industry that typically lags behind a lot of things is actually the government space. So Singapore is a bit different. Singapore is a bit different because the government has somehow taken a more progressive approach towards UX when they came out with GovTech, and they came up with a lot of solutions that are better ways to solve problems. So the solutions, the focus is not on the solutions. The focus is on the UX emphasis behind these products. Because the UX work is done, that's why the products are good. So instead of tearing parking coupon and having a lot of litter inside your car, and then you just need to keep buying and it's environmentally unfriendly, they came out with the parking.sg app. So back to your question, right? It is a lot of industries are exposed to it, but the way you execute it is really the difference. Is really what makes the difference, So it can be applied in any industry, and yeah, if you, I don't know whatever industry you are looking at or you're interested in, yes, it can be done. Yeah.
Okay, we have another question from Putri.
I hope this answers your question, Rachel. Yeah.
Can you describe the best and worst experience as a UX designer?
So like the best product experience or the best experience of me as a UX person working with other people?
I think she meant as a UX design, like a person designing.
Working with other people.
Can be both.
Oh, okay. So one of the worst one. Let me think. So I always take some time to think before I can answer questions. Oh, okay. Apart from the government, I'm actually a young person that doesn't really look into my personal finance, even though I try to save. So I find the CPF website really horribly designed, because I think the reason why I find it is because it's actually top of my head lah. So these are just, it's not like the worst product, but it's one of the products that I feel can be improved. It's because like it's very hard for me to find what I want to find. It's very hard for me to find like for the young people, if there are younger people here, like CPF, when you start paying CPF, then you have money inside, and then you start to wonder where your money is, and you want to do things with your money, like put them into a savings account or whatever. So it's very hard for me to get all this data, and very hard for me to find the buttons that I need to click. And the worst thing is, so your CPF is just like where your money is stored, right? You want to do things with other players, like the banks or whatever. So as a user, your experience is not just on the website, right? You want to link to other places to do whatever you want to do, like set up an account or like add an amount or whatever. And ideally, it should be flowing quite fluidly, because number one is finance, number two is my money, and number three, like the website, it doesn't really give you a desirable experience already. So when you go to another website, which is a bank, and you come back and you cannot find your things, it's a very confusing and very scary experience. So this can be contrasted to probably the IRAS website, where the government wants to collect money from you. The user experience is great, because like as a government, you probably don't want to have too much friction, right, and people paying your taxes. So there's a bit of a contrast lah. The best product experience, I think one of the better ones is like Revolut lah. Still that. If I can think of any good ones, I'll probably mention it later on. I think, okay, so the next part of your question is the best and worst experience as a UX designer. I think that the best experience is really working on my own product, which is TaxiBot, the chatbot that I created, because I have no constraints. I can just work on what I think is right. So I can go and talk to the users. I can test things out the way I want it to be. So just a short history is that I actually started TaxiBot, and it was a Facebook chatbot, and I tested it out with users at the start. So I didn't even want to get my family members to like it. So they were like, I think only 2 likes. Like one is from me and one from another person. So to make it not look shady lah. And then I actually just went out there and I just posted this chatbot in different community groups. I wanted like real users to test it. I wanted them to come in and try. So it was a bit of a gamble. I went in and I tested it, and then people started using it, and I got some feedback from it. But after a while, like after a few days, I realized that people were actually coming back. So I could then do more tests to see, okay, how do I optimize the chat experience? Because I think it's very important in that case, the chat experience to be optimized, because your messenger is just so small. You don't want to squeeze a lot of information inside. You want it to be as useful as possible, but at the same time, you want it to be usable. You don't want it to be like, wow, button, info. It's just not desirable and usable experience, right? So that's where I needed to do a lot of testing, and I had the freedom and ability to just test and get the data that I want, iterate again, and just keep working on it. So it's the same process of user research, testing, testing. And true enough, it's not like I said it. It's not like, oh, I'm like my product is awesome or whatever lah. But because we managed to find what the users want, we could grow organically or so-called virally to 70,000 users without spending a single marketing dollar. So I think that's the beauty of really nailing what the users want. And like there's a lot of nuances to it, but yeah, basically that's the idea. I think the worst kind of experience is really when, and this is something that is very real, I feel, when you have a lot of stakeholders in your team or your other teams where when they really can just override your decisions, like the business person or whoever that say, hey, I don't care what you think. This is the company strategy. This is what we're going to do. You listen to me. I think those kinds of experience are the worst. And yeah, I think it's very challenging to operate in such an environment, because if you are a UX designer, you probably you are the user advocate, right? So you want to do everything that makes sense to you for the user. But if that happens, it's a very pain to work in lah. So yeah, that's the best and the worst experience so far.
Okay, thank you so much, Amos. Due to the time constraint, I think we have no more time for Q&A. Let me share my...
One last slide, and then I think...
Oh yeah, one more slide, sorry. Okay.
So I just want to rehash that it's about designing a useful, usable, and desirable experience. And you can only do that after you understand your user. And design thinking is one tool set that is a very human-centric way, and it's a way for you to start to think about that process. And the best way to try yourself is to get started, because it's like a catch-22, right? You want to become a UX designer, but you can only become a UX designer if you have experience being a UX designer. So how do you get experience being a UX designer? Is to find a job as a UX designer. No, so you actually can try it yourself, right? Try a product, find a problem that you're passionate about, and then just test it out. Talk to users, like try to create there are case studies you can find online. Just try to critique it, try to experiment, and like the iterative process of finding what a user wants, you will also become a better UX designer. Yeah, it's really that simple. Yeah, it's really just to try, and it's simple, but it's not easy. Yeah, you just need to try it, and then you will get there lah. Just read more, try it out. Yeah, I think that's the best way to get started. Yeah. Okay, over to you. So sorry for
interrupting, Amos. Thank you so much, and also for being so encouraging, and hopefully inspires you guys to maybe can start something on your own. And also, if you guys have oopsie, wrong screen. Sorry guys. Give me a second. If you guys would like to contact Amos anytime, you can also drop him an email at which can be found at the bottom of the slide as well. So once again, thank you so much, Amos. And then now I'll pass my time on to Wan Ting, who will be sharing a little bit more about our Hatch programs. On to you, Wan Ting.
Thank you, Ling. Okay, thank you everyone for staying this call, and I really hope that you've learned something today. So for all of you who found the workshop interesting and you're itching to deepen your knowledge, we have two key programs for you. So we have the Hatch Immersive and the Hatch Accelerator. So we'll start with the Hatch Immersive. The Hatch Immersive is an end-to-end training and job matching program that we have designed to help anyone kickstart their career. So it's for all of you who are keen to kickstart your career, but you're a bit nervous about trying to embark on a new journey, or you want to look into changing your career and beyond just undergoing the technical skill training. Because if let's say you go through our training and you meet the training milestones, we will match you to one of our partner companies in the network for you to really experience what it means to work in the industry, because we realize that there's a lot of anxiety for people who want to make that change, but they don't really know how. So essentially, like the Hatch Immersive is meant to be like a easy way for you to start your career. So at the end of the program, you have an in-depth exposure into the core skill required for you to start in the industry, and you also get a chance to work on real problem statements from real companies. So for example, right, like in the picture, you see that this is like the graduation ceremony that we had for our cohort that graduated recently. We call it Demo Day. So one of the students is presenting a solution that the team worked on from a problem statement that came from Grab. And essentially, like, our program is designed for you to like work on like real case studies on like different companies. And we run this for two different tracks. We have one for digital marketing and another one for UI UX. The full-time program is 5 weeks, and the part-time program is 15 weeks. On the slide, you can see that there are like the upcoming programs that we have. So there's like the full-time one to cater to both track, and then a part-time one to cater to both track also. Yeah. And then the next one we have that is also upcoming is also the Hatch Accelerator. It's a 5-week program that is meant to upskill you in specific skill sets. And it helps you like to build a solid foundation, develop your skills, and we also do this through by working through a problem statement. And this is suitable for everyone who is like, you have a thing for design and you want to start something new, instead of spending thousands of dollars on like a web developer, and you want to do it yourself, that kind of thing. The accelerator is meant to help you see that website development is not just starting a project on weeks. There's a lot of thought that goes into how you can present information effectively in the most visually appealing way. You go through the same process of understanding the user, and you do simple research. And at the end, you learn how to present all this data in a website. So we have one program for the UI UX web design accelerator happening in June. So for all of you who managed to join us on Monday, was it? Yeah, Janelle, who was the guest speaker then, is also your trainer for the web design accelerator. And if you're keen to find out more, you can hang around after this call to have a quick chat with any of us. If not, thank you so much for joining, and I'll hand it back over to Li Ying.
Oh, thank you so much, Ranting. Also, you can find, if you guys want to find out more, you can also follow us on our Instagram and Facebook at Hatching Now, which is found at the bottom left of the slide. Also, I would like to share a little bit about one of our partners, Bold at Work. So they joined us for our program, for our workshop last Friday, where they went through a little bit on about navigating through your strengths and your weaknesses, and also about what is your value sets. So it's a company that focuses and prepare young people for the future of work. So it provides clarity for individuals in their careers. So recently they have a 4-part Be Bold at Work video series. One of them just premiered yesterday at 12 p.m. So they have 3 more videos that are coming up the next few weeks. So if you guys want, you can also check them out, and you can follow them on their Facebook and their Instagram, which you can see the links at the bottom. Okay, and last but not least, thank you so much for all of you for staying on. I know we are a bit late right now, so I'll quickly wrap up. So we have a last workshop happening next Friday, whereby we'll be going through a digital marketing 101 as part of our digital pathways for all series. So if you guys want to sign up, you can just sign up at the link below, or just scan the QR code right here. And we will appreciate if you guys could also help us to fill out this survey, so we can also enhance and improve our next and upcoming webinars moving forward. Thank you so much all for joining us today. I hope you guys enjoyed the session, and thank you so much for also staying on up to now. Really appreciate it. And happy Friday, everybody. Thank you.
Yeah.
We hope you enjoyed the webinar. These are free and open sessions which are open to public twice monthly, and you can receive news on them by subscribing on our website at www.hatch.sg. For those of you who are interested in our programs, you can take a look at them at our website as well, or you could follow us on Instagram or Facebook at Hatching Now. Again, thank you for joining us, and feel free to leave your comments below or drop us a message if you'd like to find out more. Hope to see you at our future workshops.